That's good.
Every week we don't have to do blow the snow.
Yeah.
Once we closer to not blowing
Yeah.
snow. Contractual things.
Nice.
Sure.
That is not my favorite source of recreation, let's just say.
I can remove it.
I had Tony did it last winter, you know, or the winter I had my back surgery.
That's
It
cool.
was kind of nice.
Somebody's gonna.
But I'm too damn stubborn to fix it.
Yeah.
Cut those expensive traffic.
That's for me.
No.
Well, like I said, didn't come in till 9.
Put a sign.
Yeah, nice.
That's fine. Yeah.
The TikTok. Do you want to have it be here? You see that? I'll show it. It's all flipping. Guy's knocking on his neighbor's door, dude. Like frozen. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, that's what I can't stand against it.
All right. We're at that time, Grant.
You're gonna bring them.
Sounds like
Yeah. We'll start with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move to roll call.
Okay, Mayor Minnie,
Here.
Brenneman,
Here.
Keel,
Here.
Monahan,
Here.
O'Hara,
Here.
Jones,
Here.
and Randall.
Here.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve. Second.
All right, discussion? We'll vote. Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
And Randall. All right. And do we have some motions for some meeting minutes out there?
Motion to approve regular meeting minutes from 11/17/2020.
Second.
Discussion? Vote. O'Hara?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Randall.
Yes.
Yeah, the 23rd and the 24th as well.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on 11/23.
Second.
Second.
There we go. No discussion? We'll vote. Brennan?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
And Randall.
Yes.
And we got 11/24.
Motion to approve special meeting minutes from 11/24/2020.
Second from Brennan. No discussion? We'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yeah.
And Randall.
Yes.
All right. No bills submitted for payment. Take this moment for any public input on any non-agenda items. Everybody hears from it is on the agenda, so I hear nothing. All right, we're not quite to 7:05, so we're going to jump down to resolution 2020-15, which is the transfer of contingency funds. So we're getting toward the end of the year. Move some things around.
Motion to approve resolution 2020-15.
Second.
Discussion?
I have one question. Bank fees, what was that?
So those are, every month we get charged bank fees. Most of it is ACH transactions. So every person signs up for, paying the water bill through ACH, you get charged a certain money. And we're getting more and more signed up for it, so it's costing more and more.
Do we budget some for that? It's
Yeah.
just we had more, we're
Yeah.
having more take advantage. Okay.
Exactly, yep.
All right, yep.
We do budget, we just didn't budget quite enough because we had quite a few sign up this year, which is good. Kind of more guarantees our money on time.
Any more discussion? We'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Randall.
yes,
Alright. We'll jump up to our 7:05 hearing for the assessment rolls. We got resolution 2020-14 for North Street assessment.
Motion to approve resolution 2020-14. Ninth Street Road Project Assessment.
Second.
Alright, any other discussion?
This is the same rules apply October 1st of next year. Then
Yep.
it goes to the county for,
Yep, all the property owners got a letter with this roll stating this is a hearing, and that, yes, they do have until October 1st of 2021 to pay it without any interest to the city before it would be sent to the county, so, yep.
right? Perfect.
Any other comments or discussion? Alright, we'll vote. Brenneman?
Yeah.
Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Randall.
yes,
Okay. Now we're going on to first reading, ordinance 701, our 2020 supplemental appropriation.
Motion to approve first reading ordinance 701.
Second.
Discussion? All right, we'll vote. Jones?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
Monahan?
Yeah.
O'Hara?
Yes.
And Randall.
yes,
All right, Greg Olson couldn't be here this evening, so we're going to move down to reports. We got Deputy Powers.
Hello, everybody. All right. So, as you guys look over the report, just kind of highlight a couple things. Probably first off, like our calls for service kind of went down with a decrease of 45. We're still averaging 9.5 calls per day here in Hartford. So, can't really give a rhyme or reason as into why. Well, the big thing is probably our traffic stops are down. We had 80 this past 30 days, and which was a decrease of 39. So that could have been probably the main reason why we're down calls. But with that, like, we still have a lot of parking problems or snowbirds who due to the fall and stuff. We had 18 of those, which was an increase of 13 from what we had 30 days ago. Along with that, we found a lot of abandoned vehicles. I don't know if that's because of the snow, but a lot of people have been making contacts with people and saying, hey, make sure you got plates on your vehicle if you just got a car or whatever, and they forgot to leave the paper plates. But yeah, a couple things. I just completed a course called A-Ride, which is like an advanced recognition of like impaired drivers, so more than just alcohol, it's like looking at combination if someone is on alcohol and like a prescription, a drug or a recreational drug. So I just got done taking that up in Madison a couple weeks ago. And then coming up on Sunday, I'm helping participate with the parade that the chamber is putting on for Christmas in Hartford. And I'm sure you guys saw in Hartford Happenings a post of someone saying that the burglaries were happening at storage units here on Menth as well too, where offenders are cutting just standard padlocks and then replacing it with their own standard padlocks. So it's just a new thing kind of I've been seeing with the burglaries that have been happening around the county as well too. So when we as deputies and just talking with folks like, hey, make sure you get the round padlocks versus just the standard, because those are just easy to hit and to kind of go in and kind of steal people's property. So that's kind of been happening in Hartford, but at the same time, Baltic's been hit, Crooks has been hit. So, and also looking at other counties, Turner County, Lincoln County, and surrounding counties, a lot of storage units are getting hit. So I don't know if it's just the time of the year, people are desperate for money, and I really can't say, but it's just peculiar of how frequent it is this time of year. So and like you guys know, I haven't been on for very long, but it seems like there's been just an increase in the burning area. So if you're able to talk to your constituents and just ask them to get round locks versus normal pad locks. But yeah, that's basically it from my kind of report. Do you guys have any questions for me, or have you got any complaints that you've been hearing?
It's been pretty quiet.
That's good.
That's a good thing, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. So, there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so
You
much.
bet.
If you guys
Thank you.
anything comes out during the week, shoot me an email or give me a call. I'm happy to answer.
You bet,
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right. Mitch couldn't be here this evening, so we'll move over to Craig's report.
Not a lot to add. We are done discharging at the ponds. We'll be getting the DMRs filled out as soon as I get the paperwork back from AET. The base, just for the downtown lights, we just got confirmation today that the bases will be here probably Thursday or Friday. As soon as I get it, we'll get them put up and have lights put up, brackets put up, so. Getting those done. Otherwise, we're just been getting ready for hometown Christmas and getting things set up that way. Alan did pass his CDL and his special class, so he's got them on the way. We'll get him working on water and sewer here in the near future.
That's great. That's great. Keep moving right along.
So, anybody got anything for me?
Street sweeper was out today, that was good.
Yep, was out pretty much all week last week.
Yeah.
Getting things swept up, so.
Yeah. Anything out of the ordinary for Hartford Hometown Christmas or anything?
No,
like that?
it's pretty much gonna be, I've been talking to Lisa and pretty much the same, except they're gonna be putting up some tents and have some heat and stuff like that, but otherwise parade route's gonna be the same now.
Oh, sure.
Bonfire yet, pretty much, just a few difference, the drive-by, pick up your food type thing and
Yep.
stuff like that, but otherwise it's all gonna be the same.
About the same.
I'm going to try to slip away this weekend and go hunting, and I'll probably be back before the festival really starts then, but we'll have everything wrapped up, ready to go for it.
By the time they're ready. Sure. Good. Good. All right. Anything for Craig? All right, sounds good. Thank you, Craig.
Yep.
All right. And we'll go down to Karen's report. If there's anything else to add.
No.
End of the year wrapping up okay?
Yeah, I haven't gotten much into it yet.
Not yet.
So, yeah, got my forms ordered and ready to go, so.
Good. Good. All right. Nothing, we'll move to Teresa's report.
Just a few things, kind of updates from what I had in my report. We're still taking applications for the CEDD position. I had 9 applications in my report. We got another one in today, so I have 10 applicants. I should say 10 applicants that have submitted their resume and application to me. Those are the 2 things we need. I have 5 more that have just a resume that I've requested an application from. So if they get those, then we'll have 15 as of now. Some viable, some not so viable, but we haven't really talked about how we want to move forward with this, if we want to set up a committee or whatnot to review them. That's kind of what we did the last go around, the last CEDD. So you guys might want to start thinking about that, and maybe we can talk about that in a couple weeks, unless you have some thoughts on it now, but we'll continue to take applications to see what kind of pool we get of applicants with that.
Did we put a deadline on the?
We didn't, because we
Okay.
wanted to keep it open until we found a candidate.
You maybe
we
said
were
that, I'm sorry, I was reading that.
Yeah. So we just, until filled basically is what Karen put on the advertisement of it, so. Don't get somebody.
Well, yeah, for the council too. I think that committee method seems to work about the best. Let me know if that's something, let me or Teresa know if it's something you're interested in being on that. We definitely have some folks from the chambers, folks from the foundation, and from the council.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last go around, is that we had chamber representative, a HADF representative, and a couple from the council to review the applications and then decide which ones we want to move forward with interviewing, and then get that narrowed down, then they interview with the council, so. Seemed to work pretty good, so. Okay, so keep that in mind. RFQs, I've got a couple of questions submitted from the council. I just shot out an email to you guys today, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I was hoping maybe by the end of this week to gather any questions we have, so then I could send them all at once to whichever, firms, and they can, then respond to them. Then the following week or so then we can kind of look at that information as well. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll get them sent off and hopefully get answers. There was a couple emails that came in today, and then last week Stockwell sent the presentation, so that's been sent out in your emails too. That's information you can look over too and look at. Craig and I did get out and do the sidewalk inspections, and those letters go off this week. And then I just gave you a little update on what we've submitted for claims for COVID. We've got a couple other things that we're working on now, some AV equipment that we're gonna try to put in for as well. So we have to submit anything by the end of the year, December 31st. So we're trying to get in anything we can, or with being conscientious of using it correctly. So yeah, so that's all I have right now. Do you have questions?
This is probably as much for the mayor. What's our plan on the wastewater? Are we gonna try to get that decision made as to our choice this month, or you?
Yes, I would like to anyway. I think what we need to discuss is planning a time to get together to at least narrow it down to 2, and maybe discuss what we want to take for the next step with that. So it's not an agenda item tonight, but I don't think it hurts to set a meeting date and talk about what times would work out for us to move forward with that. Yep.
I think the matrix that Teresa sent out, and everybody gets a look at that, if they're comfortable with that, will probably give us a fair handle as to what the council's thinking, I think. I've done it, so I wanted to do it while it was still kind of fresh in my head, so. I think that would give us a pretty good look as to what, I think that will, as you said, I think that will boil our top 2.
I think so too. Yep, I think so. All right. All right, we're gonna move to old business. Thank you, Teresa.
Yep.
Move to old business. We got reimbursement request for oversizing on South Main. Mr. Colton in here. And we got some information in our packet, so maybe start with Teresa a little bit and a little background on what we got in here.
Okay. So Larry Colterman did submit an invoice for basically oversizing from a 39-foot right-of-way to a 41-foot right-of-way. That was submitted, and then to our city engineers. He reviewed the information. His letter after his review is in the packet for you to look at. Basically, he did do some adjusting on some of the dollar figures that were in there. It seemed like they were using 2018 figures versus 2015, which is when the street was actually put in. So Mitch's comments are in the packet there for you to look at, along with that bill that was submitted. Mitch is recommending, if you want to consider it, amount of $34,374.26 would be an actual amount of oversizing from the 39 to the 41 would be a true amount basically versus what was submitted. And kind of how we went over last time, we talked about back in 2004 is when these preliminary plans for the entire development came to the city. And at that time, Mr. Colterman talked with the council that was sitting there, and they had discussions of whether it should be a 39-foot right-of-way or a 41-foot right-of-way. And the minutes do show, or they talked about it, and that they wanted it to be a 41-foot right-of-way. Unfortunately, the minutes aren't clear, and that there is no motion by the council at that time to Basically, it says he should make it a 41-foot right of way, but there was no motion to say that the city would pay for that, who would pay for it. So, when he did submit, the bill to me, I said, you know, I don't have any clear direction in order to pay that bill, you need to come before the existing council. So, in 2004, they had that discussion. 2015, though, is when he actually did place the road. That's when it was constructed. And then, like I said, now we're here to date where he has submitted the bill for it. I did do a little research, not only on the minutes, but then what our actual city ordinances were during this whole time period. And when they were discussing it, it looked like the ordinance was for a 39-foot right-of-way for, this is considered a minor collector street, South Main is. It was 39 feet. Right after they had that discussion in May of 2004, the ordinance was changed to a 41-foot for minor collector street. And that's been our standard up until 2015 when he did it. So when he actually put in the street, 41-foot right-of-way was the city standard.
I got this right here, Teresa.
Okay.
It's a copy of the minutes. 44, 33 foot. Not 31, 33. Right there, 33.
Is that a typo, Teresa? Or is that, well, 33 feet would be a residential road. That'd be a residential. Street.
Yeah.
Still is.
That's not it. Yeah. This is considered a collector, a minor collector road.
Yeah.
South
So
Main.
they're just referencing South Main being a residential street.
Yeah, and that's for a right-of-way,
Yeah.
not the actual street width.
Well, it says 33-foot wide residential street.
Yeah. I don't know, you know, these minutes were before me, so.
Yeah.
When did you say it went from, the standard went from 39 foot to a 41 foot?
May 18th of 2004.
May.
And they discussed this, you know, basically March, April, and May
March.
of 2004. It started, the discussion started in March, and then May 18th, 2004 is when they adopted the ordinance for collectors to be 41.
Gotcha.
So it was right after the discussion that same year.
Larry, can you clarify something for me? All this discussion, that there's no motion, there's conversation, there's a 33-foot wide residential street that's listed in the minutes. There was obviously conversation about making that 41 feet. This is all 2004. Nothing happened in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And then in 2015, when you did this, the city standard had changed to 41 feet. And that's when you put it in at 2015 at the standard 41 feet. So how do we look back to 2004 and reimburse you
How about
11 years in the rear?
How about the other streets like Shamrock? That's 33 foot wide. So all streets now are,
Well, I'll let you come up to the podium here in a minute, because I think what we're getting at, and you're gonna talk while I get up at the podium, but 33 foot wide is for a standard residential street.
that's
What we're
this
talking
is.
about here is what, a minor collector
Yeah.
street? Is that-
Shamrock would be like a local street. South Main is considered a collector. Ontario would be like a Mickelson, so you know, the more traffic So that's the actual ordinance that was passed in '05 that would have been in effect yeah.
Right.
So yeah, there's different regulations for different size streets throughout town. And I did confirm with Mitch what South Main is considered, and he said it's a minor collector.
So when did this come about? That, why wasn't that in?
I was.
So this was May of 2004,
Yes.
Why
and
were
what
we
he just gave
ever-
us was March of 2004.
2004.
Yeah,
So
so,
obviously, this was the start of discussion, this was the end of discussion, so you were never part of the end of the discussion? Okay.
Well, and when I read this though, maybe I'm missing something, but I'm looking at these March minutes. Discussion on the availability of grants, decision, oh, not sure that doesn't apply. The consensus of those attending was that a 41-foot wide street instead of a 33-foot wide residential street was necessary to handle the traffic on the arterial roadway. So to me, when I read that, it's just that at the time, they were probably saying, hey, no, don't put in a 33-foot street because that's not a residential. It says in here arterial, but it's really a minor collector street. It's more than just a residential street. So to me, when I read this, it says, I feel like they're giving the right recommendation to say, no, you can't put in a 33-foot street there because it's more of a collector than that.
I don't see how that's a collector's. What do you classify as a collector's street?
Well, I'm not an engineer, but a collector street, you got your residential streets where people live on, they don't use them as often to get to places. Main Avenue is a little bit more like a minor collector, they're using it as traffic through the city, they're using it from point A to point B to get to different destinations.
It's really the only road that goes from 38 to Mickelson in the city,
Right.
straight through,
Right.
with one stop sign.
Mhm.
I-
I'm trying to think of what the other minor collectors are in town, I don't know
Well, Second Street.
if Second it probably is.
Family Mart, or is that a arterial?
North.
That's like
Mark, yeah.
The
Mickelson.
new Vandermark from
New.
38 up to Travis's, or past Travis's, is, that's as wide as
I'll
Mickelson.
say that's an arterial, that's a
Correct.
large one we made, yeah, because we did make that
Turtle
wider.
Creek will be another one when that gets finished up.
Teresa,
That is a wider one.
do you know, and we've seen a lot of paperwork, well, we've seen what paperwork there is on this. Do you know when planning and zoning reviewed the preliminary and final plat for that development?
2004,
2004.
yep,
Do you know what the recommendation was?
for approval. Yeah, they approved his preliminary plans.
Well, why does it say? Oh, I missed.
She has the planning and zoning one right in here, Mark.
Discussion on timing and financing of the street improvements and utility improvements, no action taken. Planning and zoning will make a recommendation of the city council after reviewing preliminary and final plats for the development.
Which they did on April 12th of 2004. Motion by Bender, seconded by Tweet, to recommend city council 41-foot street width versus the standard 33 width on South Main addition, carried with the yes vote by all. So that's when they approved it. So our planning and zoning approved it.
Crispin Trail is also a collector. It's the asphalt's 36-foot wide, which means it's 41 from back of curb to back of curb.
So that's where you come off Pressman, jog, and then go down to Main. So what you're saying is
Yep.
that's,
So that'll go from Mickelson Road, and that'll actually go back up and come out by the old bowling alley there on.
okay. Yeah.
Collector's a through street that collects the smaller roads,
Right.
smaller, the traffic, homes and that stuff to them, to bring them to a major road.
So Larry, you're saying though you weren't aware that they made this change to make it 41?
No.
You're not, so from '04, and then when you,
I did know that they when I was here at that meeting, I did know that they wanted it 41.
Okay,
Because that was, it's stated right in here. And
So-
I was here when they said that, the guy stood out, and he said, there's no reason to worry about, city always pays for the oversight, he just did it that way. I don't remember.
so who was that? Was that
That was
the engine? I mean, none of us other than Mark.
No, everybody
And it was the
knows
planning and
that.
zoning, he wasn't even here,
Yeah,
so.
I don't remember.
I was actually had someone notice.
Oh, okay, oh, he wasn't. He was-
So Larry, I have a question for you. I remember last time that you were, with us, you had said you were surprised that this whole thing was kind of a surprise to you as far as the road being widened and all of the other things. Were you not in communication with your engineer during each phase of the process? I'm not sure where the miscommunication could happen so easily.
Well, yeah, I knew it was gonna be widened because, yeah, we were here that, I was here at that meeting, that was, they said they wanted it 41 foot. I was, that meeting that says right here, I was here that day.
Okay,
And I knew it was gonna be widened, that's why I didn't think there'd be any problem with it, okay? And then 6 inches of depth instead of 4 inches. And city said they'd pay for it. The extra.
Where does it say that? Am I missing that?
You weren't
That's just that
aware of what he was doing?
Say that again, Randall?
While the engineer was doing the work, you weren't aware of what he was doing and what his measurements were and what was going in where?
Yeah, I was aware of that, but we were told to do that.
So I think what Larry's saying is he was aware of the street needing to be wider and thicker, but was under the impression that the city would pay for the oversizing. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and to answer your question, Mark, I mean, you got all the minutes that I found, and like I said, that's why we're here today, because I don't see any clear direction. There was no motion to say we would, pay for
Right.
that, and so, like I said,
And if a new development goes in that has a street like this, the contractor bears that expense, right, of the 41 foot?
yeah, if there's a new development and we determine it has to be a collector street, it'd have to be 41 feet. I mean, you'd have to put it into the regulations, yeah. So,
What already is? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be an expense fully burdened by
Yeah.
the developer.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to meet our regulations,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but yeah, that's the issue, we just don't see any clear direction, and I couldn't find any paperwork as an agreement either or anything, a lot of times we'll do agreements with developers, but Larry said he doesn't have one, and I don't show anything to that effect either, so.
Yeah. So, I kind of have a personal experience with this in the city of Sioux Falls, where the planning and zoning, not planning and zoning, but people reviewing building that I was doing said, you can do this. Okay. So I proceed. Go for final review, they go, oh, by the way, that's not the code. I'm a little upset about it. But I had no action to go because I didn't actually have my building permit. I just went off of hearsay. And hearsay doesn't stand up when you're dealing with the city. You have to go by what's presented, what was emotional, what wasn't. So,
Another example for me personally is if the electrical code in 2004 was one thing, and the electrical code changed in 2015, I would be required to bring it to code to 2015 standards, not I bid it to 2004 standards, and now somebody has to help me pay for the 2015 standards. So the 11-year timeline, when the actual ordinance changed and the requirements changed, puts you in my opinion, the burden is fully bore by the development and,
What was what is you know, the street that you're talking about, say it was supposed to be 39 foot, isn't that your street, that, your.
Arterial or a collector?
Collector street.
We had talked about that at one time, that they thought it was 39, but it was 41, or was it changed from 39 to 41?
What was it at that time?
It was changed, yeah, so that ordinance is when it got changed to 41.
From 39?
Yes,
From 39.
yeah.
And what was the date on that?
this is May of 2004.
So again,
That's
This
right
is
after
months
this
after
discussion, yeah.
Discussion.
yeah,
Which, I mean, I'm just presuming, but I'm assuming that the council talked about,
Would
they
you-
want
would you
collector
know that?
streets
I
to be
don't.
41, and then they passed an ordinance for it.
I don't remember this. But the way I read into it is the residential was 33. The collector was 39. So after this conversation with Larry, everybody in consensus, I assume that it was proposed as a 33-foot wide residential street. And everybody at the meeting said, that's not big enough, we need to go 41. So then, had it got built in '04, I suspect the city would have paid the overcharge. I suspect in 2005, had it got built, the city would have paid the overage. But the ordinance changed from 39, which was the collector then, not the 33 proposed residential. The collector changed from 39 to 41 shortly after this meeting. So I believe it was proposed as a residential 33-foot street. Conversation started after that meeting, which led to the collector being changed from 39 to 41. Then in 2015, when you put it in, it was deemed a collector, and that's why it went in at 41. That's what I'm reading.
Is your invoice though, Larry, because, and I agree with what you're saying though, Mark, except for one thing. To me, the way I look at these minutes from 2004, they recommended 41 at that time. So what I believe is they already knew this was coming down the pipe. They already knew planning and zoning was probably reviewing this and it was gonna be changed to 41. So they said, hey, don't put in a regular residential street, put in a collector, and that's 41 now.
Or it's gonna be 41.
It's gonna be
In a
41 by the
couple
time
months,
you
yeah.
get there, right?
That's just it. I mean,
So that's why I think these,
this was adopted on the 18th of May, so the first reading had to been 4 weeks before that, right?
Well, 2 weeks before that, because
Don't
it's
you have two
adopted,
readings?
yeah. And so if they have a meeting every 2 weeks.
P&Z was probably already looking at
Well,
it.
P&Z was probably looking at it earlier, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to have it up for 4 weeks, so the first reading was either beginning of May or middle of April, a month after
Mhm.
discussion.
Right. Now, just to be clear, is your reimbursement request for the oversized from a 33 to a 41, or from a 39 to a 41?
I think it's from the 33. You have to talk to Eric Willitson about that. He did. I did. I don't.
Okay. And did you, because 11 years had passed from the time that conversation had happened until the time you put the road in, did you come back to council to reaffirm any reimbursement anytime during that 11 years, right before you put the street in?
No, Eric took care of all that stuff, so that's my engineer, so.
No. Because I think where the council has a hard time with this is, if I go make a deal on a car, and I say, yep, you're gonna give it to me for this much, and I come back 11 years later and say, I'm ready for that deal on a new one, and say, that was 11 years ago. Like, I would at least go back before I went and spent the money and said I was gonna get reimbursed. And that's where I have a disconnect, like, it was that many years from the time it was discussed to the time it was put in. I think there should have been at least a confirmation, like, hey, before I put this in, is the
But
city gonna pay for oversized?
It's not even 11 years, it's coming back after 16 years about a road that went in 11 years after the initial discussion. It's 2004, 2015, and 2020. We're 16 years in the rear for a request for oversize.
I requested oversize sometime back, which you guys denied.
2020.
No, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was when,
We did.
you had the utilities in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
Right.
But the bottom line still remains, there was no motion, no proof that who was going to pay for this. You know, as I don't know if it was Travis or Mark that said hearsay. I mean, when you're running a business, you cannot go on hearsay. I know my business, I require everything to be in writing, black and white.
Yeah, in an agreement or understanding or, I would say it would be an understanding from, in 2004. The ordinances change, the code changes, the requirements change. And that's why development costs more money. Because time doesn't stand still. And the opportunity to put this thing in and even discuss having some reimbursement for that wider street was back in '04. You know, that ship sailed, well, as soon as the ordinance was passed. Would be my interpretation.
All right, any
I
further questions or
Further
motions?
clarification for me is TLM developer, is that
yeah.
the construction and development, is it all one?
It's just TL developers. I got my own construction company.
I'm gonna make a motion to deny his request for reimbursement.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Monahan. All right, discussion? All right, we'll vote. Keel?
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. Brennan?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Randall?
Yes.
Okay. I am gonna talk to my engineer, and I am gonna talk to my law firm, and I might be back. So,
I understand that, yeah. Yeah.
so, all right, appreciate you
Thank
guys.
you. You bet.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, next, we got review/approve the advertising agreement for Swenson Sports Complex. This is what we looked at last meeting, a couple of those changes.
Yep. And in your packet, just the changes we discuss are highlighted in yellow in there. Did run this by Tom and Matt. They both think they look good or what they'd like it to see, so.
Yeah. Matt sent a note, sent me a text, and he could not be here. I did forward it to Jeremy, and he said he was gonna have a couple of his lieutenants here. I see they're here. Or muscle, or what, I don't know what he called you guys, something like that.
Like
They can't see the face expression.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, discussion. We'll vote. Brennan?
Yes.
O'Hara?
Yes.
Keel?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yeah.
And Randall.
Yes.
I think
You're golden.
Anyone
Let
else?
me ask a question on that.
Yes, you sure can.
So on that March 1st to 31st, that is just the time frame we can have them hanging, correct?
March.
March to March.
Right.
No.
March 1st to October 31st.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what we discussed.
yeah.
All right,
Yep.
We just didn't want it hanging on the fences over the winter because of snow
Right.
and ice.
Yeah.
It could
Right.
damage the fence, yeah.
Yep.
Like if it's too snowy beginning of March, like if it's not clear to like March 30th, hang them up there, just use common sense, right?
Right. Yep, yep.
All right.
Yeah,
And
this
the
is
only
one-
other thing, the website, is that the city website? We might need to figure that out.
That is a good question because that was,
It's a
you know,
little
this was presented to the city as far as selling $100 advertisement on the website, but nobody had come to the city to ask if they put it on the city's website. I guess I assumed it was
And that's
for
fine.
you guys on your
Yeah,
site.
and that's fine.
Yeah,
So,
there's nobody ever asked to put it on the city's website that I'm aware of, so.
sounds good.
All right.
That sounds good. Good thing you got the muscle. All right. All right, we're gonna move to, we've got a request here from Hartford Area Fire and Rescue. Discussion on COVID recovery fund request. So,
Before we get into that, real quick, Jeremy,
Yeah.
can I ask Teresa a question pertaining to Larry? The cost of creating extra width and extra depth would be borne by the city. That's in the minutes. But my thought is, because it's not in motion form,
Right.
it's consensus of those attending. And I don't, because he brought up the attorney, but I don't think one council can bind a future council by consensus, can they?
And you can't spend budget money without having a resolution, which is a motion, so I think that's where he's gonna run into trouble. Plus, our ordinances, I mean, basically, he put, my feeling, talk a little bit, he put the street in 2015, like you said, he's gotta follow the regulations in 2015, unless there was an agreement or motion in place.
Well, and that's just it, because I think if it was a motion, it'd be a no-brainer.
Yeah, then it'd be a
Because then
different.
one council can bind another council in motion form. But I don't think you can bind future
Mm-hmm. I don't think
council
the way
by
it's-
consensus.
Yeah,
So, okay, that's all I have.
yeah, so.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's not building those houses to the building code of 2004.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah, think of it that way, you gotta.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, hope not.
Yeah,
Hopefully our building
there's
inspector's
been
not
a
allowed
variance
that.
or two down there. He may be.
Where's Paul Clark when you need him?
Yeah,
Maybe,
so.
Greg.
but like you had mentioned earlier, there would typically, there'd be an agreement in place that carries that forward, and typically, I mean, you put a deadline on that
Yeah.
agreement too and say, okay, no later than such
Yeah,
and
it
such.
should have been something like that done there, and at the very least, a motion to spend city funds and.
And to Mark's point, since you brought up legal, at what point does this become harassment?
Of him harassing us?
Yes.
No, yeah, consult our attorney.
Well,
You know,
Well, I think,
we've pretty much got a book on it now. so-
Like I say, I don't think I could spend any more time, I think I've looked at every record we have, so.
it wasn't just discussion and no action.
Sorry for digressing.
You're totally fine.
You digress on occasion.
You like that word?
You do. I like that. That's a nice word today. That'll be word of the night.
I'm trying to live up to your lofty
I
standards.
hear you. I hear you. We like that. Now that you got your table level, you're rolling.
All right, we're gonna keep moving. I mean, there's so much love in that. Hartford Area Fire and Rescue, COVID Recovery Fund request. I'll let you give a little bit of background, but Teresa and Brian and I spoke probably a week or 2 weeks ago, just about
Friday, I think it was, wasn't it?
last Friday.
Friday before, yeah, so, as you know, we have, COVID funds available for cities and county got money from the federal government through the state, for COVID relief, so things that you purchased, to battle COVID, whether it be, cleaning supplies or, software for the Zoom meetings, anything that wasn't anticipated in budget, the federal government is helping out by letting cities and counties get that reimbursement from it. Anyway, fire departments can get some reimbursement, but basically it's just payroll reimbursement. Well, doesn't really help our fire departments since they're volunteer, whatnot. But they are allowing, they have allowed some fire departments to come to a city and ask to use some of our funds for purchases they need to battle COVID, whatnot. Basically, at this point, all they've really have reimbursed for the fire departments, from what I've gathered, told it is payroll, and then some requests for radios for the communication of it. So Brian come to us wanting to get radios for his members that don't currently have them. He submitted a quote. How it would work if we were to entertain it is that, they're a separate entity, so they can't apply for the funds. The city would have to basically purchase the radios. We'd have to buy them and then submit it to the state and ask for reimbursement. We had told him, and we had sat down and talked with Leslie with CCOG about this. We definitely don't want to purchase a large amount of radios and then find out on the backside we can't get reimbursed for it. So what Leslie at CCOG did, she contacted the state to basically try to get a pre-approval from us so we don't get short-ended. And I just found out today, and I conveyed this to Brian, Monty Kramer, who is the head of this with the state, said that they would reimburse radio purchase up to $24,000. So they do have a request for 26 radios, which is about $120,000. At this $24,000, they could purchase 5 radios. It's not great, but it's something, I guess. They did note this is probably the largest request they got from a fire department. Talking with Leslie a little bit more, it sounds like the max they have requested is 24, and that's where they're capping it at. So I think that's the reasoning why of it, but can't confirm that. But so, like I said, if we do submit on behalf of the fire department for these radios, we can get $24,000 reimbursed, which would give them 5 radios.
And, sorry, I was reading something else there too. Maybe you covered that or maybe you didn't, but these radios then would go on our asset roll, and we would, for the good use of the fire department.
Yeah, I guess I didn't mention that.
Yep.
We do have to, they will be considered the cities, and we can't give them away, so we'll have to keep them on our inventory, our asset, but we can let the fire department use them, so it's kind of a wonky thing, so.
So I think, kudos to Chief for bringing it up and for Teresa for bringing the right people in the room and getting all the background done on all of this. I think, to me, it's all pretty straightforward, especially being that they checked it out, say ahead of time and said, hey, here's what's going on. We wanted to make sure there wasn't anything that wasn't being said on the entire piece of it. And it sounds like, yeah, while they wouldn't grant the full amount, at least they would give support for it.
So basically, I would need from the council, if you're in agreement to allow us to happen, we would need a motion for it, because we actually have to, get invoiced through the city. We have to get it paid for, and we have to submit the reimbursement before the end of the year. So I would need council approval for that.
This would cap the city's requests, so any other COVID items that the city itself might need.
No, we've got plenty of funds
Okay.
left.
Okay.
kind of about 300,000. I don't think we can come up with enough COVID stuff to use. So this wouldn't, yeah, this,
Okay, okay.
this wouldn't hurt the city.
That's a lot of whiteboards.
Yeah. They're not approving those.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah,
it's in the small unit that they're approving, so.
Yeah, they've been pretty clear, and for some background on that, I don't know if Teresa's given a lot of background on that yet, but yeah, they did, there are some AV equipment that they are approving right now that.
And we've submitted.
That she submitted for, that we can make our virtual meetings better. Not that they're not approving any top of the line stuff, just
Middle of the
basic
road.
needs, what you need, all of that. VPN things for
Yep.
making sure that
We're getting
our city
those.
staff can VPN into their computers and use them in case they need to work from home, some of those things, so.
Chief, you know, is the price gonna change if you go from 26 to 5?
Price will be the same. I have.
You checked on that?
I have confirmed that. A little bit of backstory on the radio side, granted, we've applied for COVID funds, but big picture, the state radio system is being upgraded in the next, it's about a 3-year process. This area is scheduled to be done, I don't think, late 2022, I believe it is. What that means for our agency and most of the agencies in Minnehaha County is most of our radios will be obsolete and unusable. We will have 5 current radios upgradable to the new system. We kind of looked at what we had, what our needs were in that time frame. Worst case, about $274,000 in real-time money to do that. County Fire Chiefs had applied for a FEMA grant last year to do that. We made it to the final stages, but we were denied that one. We'll be reapplying again to help cover those costs of communication. But really started hearing about the state going out and approving some of these things. I think they're thinking in the background, we need to do this anyway. So we thought it'd be a good opportunity to utilize some of these funds to at least replace a few radios to keep us operational and not have to come up with the whole bucket of money for it. Also did some checking with Sioux Falls Two-Way as far as invoicing. If approved by the council, we can turn around and get an order in. They will have invoicing out for us this month here yet for payment on that. So,
Okay, that's what we'll
so that's one thing I wanted to make sure I clarify, so we hit those time frames also.
And
So-
these are compatible to the upgrade, you're saying?
Yes, all these will fit the upgrade, yep. So I know Teresa said it was approved for $24,000, the 5 radios come to $23,226.80.
5 more radios, you don't need to apply for things for. Okay, for 5. All right, any other questions or motions?
I make a motion that we approve the request for 5 radios.
Second.
All right, discussion. We'll vote. Jones?
Yes.
Monahan?
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yeah.
And Randall?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
You
I'll
bet.
touch base with you tomorrow, Teresa, because it'll have to be placed by you, the order, so. All
Yep, that would be great. Give me the information.
right, thank you guys, appreciate it.
You bet, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief.
Actually, the 6,000 leases.
I'd have to look on here, I'll have to double check that one, Mark, I'm not sure.
Before you leave, you said these 5 are gonna be upgradable. Shouldn't
Uh,
these 5 not need the upgrade?
These 5 will not, the 5 upgradable are 5 we have
5 you already
currently.
Oh, so you'll have 10 then?
That'll have us to 10.
Okay,
of those, yep.
okay, all right.
All right, anything for correspondence? All right, we will need a motion to go into executive session for economic development, personnel, and
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
second. All right, no discussion, we'll vote. O'Hara? Keel?
Yes.
Brenneman?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Monahan,
Yeah.
and Randall.
See you guys. Thanks for coming down.
Looks like they are.
Leslie made a comment when she was here too, she said, you know,
Okay, now.
Okay.
Make a motion that we give Alan a $1 pay increase because he got his CDL and his sprayer license retroactive to the day he got his CDL and his sprayer license.
Second.
all right, we'll vote. Monahan,
Yeah.
Jones?
Yes.
Brenneman,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
O'Hara? Yes. And Randall.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed?
Well,